Prismo Metals is a gold, silver, and copper exploration company with 3 key Arizona projects and 1 Mexican project. The company is currently focused on its newly optioned Silver King and Ripsey projects, which are located in Arizona's prolific Copper Belt and near Prismo's flagship Hot Breccia project. The company has been very busy, having just closed a $1.7 million financing and completing its initial exploration at its new Silver King project. CEO Alain Lambert is here, and Chief Exploration Officer Craig Gibson are here to tell us about the company's recent happenings. So I am Martin Gagel with Market Radius Research. Please remember this is neither a recommendation nor investment advice. We're here to learn about the company. Alain, Craig, how are you doing? Welcome back.
Great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you've been busy. Why don't you go over the key things? I guess you got some funding here that can fund all your activities that you're doing. So why don't you give us a little overview on that?
That's correct. So we, as you mentioned, we optioned the Silver King project, which is where our main focus is in terms of exploration efforts and dollars. We optioned that project back in July, and between July and now, Craig and his team have been on site doing significant amount of work, taking the property from a property that has never been drilled and really where there hasn't been any exploration in 100 years to something that we better understand from a geological standpoint. And I'll let Craig talk about that. And we announced a $1.2 million financing, and in 2 tranches, we pretty much raised close to $2 million, so 1.7, as you mentioned, and yesterday a little bit more, close to 200. And that positions the company quite uniquely in terms of its next phase of exploration, which will be drilling as we're gonna as we're fully funded for the upcoming drill program at Silver King.
All right, so you did your initial exploration on the Silver King project. So and that's some groundwork and not actually drilling holes in the ground. And I don't think you mentioned, just maybe give viewers a very brief, like you said, it hasn't been explored in a while. This was a major silver producer back in the day. Maybe just give a bit of context to that. And then as well, what have you guys been doing recently on the ground and what did you find?
Yes, so let me, so that's a great question, and that's a nice tie-in also as to what Craig and his team has been doing. So when we optioned the Silver King mine back in July, and even in the discussions prior to the deal being finalized, I was talking to Craig and some of our other technical people, and I was, hoping that we were not going to be optioning a mine that had been mined out, and Craig and his team were pretty sure that that wasn't the case, and number 2, there would be significant exploration potential in other parts of the property, and that is what the work has proven to date. And yes, the old mine is a historic producer in Arizona. Silver King produced 6 million ounces. It's a very rich deposit. And maybe that's where I turn it over to you, Craig, and maybe add a little bit about the history and then the work you did at the project in the last 3-4 months.
Yeah, thanks, Alain. I think the main feature to understand that the Silver King mine, when we picked it up, we basically had one exploration target, which was the historic silver deposit. As Alain said, it's not that it was a huge producer; it was very high-grade silver deposit. So we think there's still significant silver mineralization that was not mined in the past. But we conducted an exploration program right after acquiring the property, and it's still ongoing, actually. But we've now developed 5 targets on the project, 5 separate exploration targets. And the main one for right now, of course, is the high-grade silver historic mine. That's going to be the focus of our drill program early next year, hopefully. Our work has shown there's also several other targets there. We've developed 2 vein targets, which are close to the historic Silver King deposit. One of them is a brand new exploration target we call the polymetallic vein. It has mineralization very similar to the Silver King mineralization, and one of the first basically records that we found of similar mineralization outside of the historic deposit. And this is high-grade silver, copper, lead, and zinc. Right now, it's a target that we've developed over a few 100-meter strike length at the surface. There's been no drilling on it, and it's something we want to focus on probably in a second round of drilling after the Silver King deposit is drilled. Second copper silver vein was recognized. It runs right through the old glory hole at the mine and off to the northeast. And again, as we've defined it, over several 100 meters along strike. But I think more significantly than those, we've developed a couple of additional targets. One was known in the past. It's called the Black Diamond Carbonate Replacement. And basically, it's a large body of replaced limestone. It's now all specular hematite mixed in with copper. And we just announced some assay results from that. Several samples we took, almost all of them were over 1% copper, and they were up to over 5 to 6% copper. So we had some pretty high grades in there. And, this deposit, to our knowledge, has never been drilled. It crops out at the surface. There was a road constructed to it at some time in the past, probably in the 80s, but again, never been drilled to our knowledge. And we have a drill pod on it. It's also on patented ground, so we could drill that as whenever we want to, basically, as soon as we get a rig on the property. And the fifth target that we've developed is also on this patented claim. There's a little reference to it in the 1980s as a breccia body. I call it a stockwork intrusion. We've named it the crown stockwork intrusion. And this is a separate intrusion that comes up through a large, not well mineralized intrusive that occurs in the area. This thing is very strongly altered. It's cut by quartz veins in a stockwork with abundant pyrite or oxidized pyrite, iron oxides, a very strong mineralization in it in terms of alteration and iron. And in the past workers showed a little bit of anomalous lead and zinc. And we've taken some soil samples and rock samples over it. And we did find, some locally anomalous silver, copper, lead, and zinc. But I think very significantly, we had two relatively high-grade gold samples in quartz veins, and these were 4 and 5 grams per ton. And there's been no record of anything like that on the project. So we now have an exploration target that may have been one of the mineralizers that caused perhaps the Black Diamond replacement mineralization, maybe associated with the Silver King mineralization. And it's a almost blind exploration target, just barely comes up to the surface through weakly mineralized intrusive rock. So I think this is a pretty significant finding for us.
Maybe just to conclude on these last two targets, to remind your audience, Martin, that the Silver King project is what I like to refer as the hole in the donut, where the hole in the donut is this joint venture between Rio Tinto and BHP, which is called Resolution Copper. And Resolution Copper is just 3K to the south east of Silver King. And it's the largest on-mine copper deposit on the planet. So what Craig was describing unto itself is exciting, but by reminding your viewers of the location of what Craig was describing, I personally think that we've got something that we certainly must be drilling sometime next year.
So you've got 5 targets, but initially you are drilling the historic Silver King mine itself and trying to figure out where what unmined parts of high-grade silver are hopefully still left there.
That is correct. That is the plan. It was from day one the priority for the company. That's what we raised the money for. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing. And just a quick reminder that it hasn't been drilled. This mine's never been drilled. It was discovered in the late 1800s, and it was mined a little bit at surface, and then they sank a shaft. And there are vast parts of the area of the mine that wasn't even touched by mining operations, and it's certainly never been tested at depth.
How is the permitting process going for this?
Oh, great question. I love that. So at our project, Forest Service, which is part of the agricultural department of the U.S. federal government, they're the permitting entity. We've had great relationship with them and collaboration. Our plan of operation has been approved by them, and the next step after that was to go through the environmental NEPA process, which is ongoing. People who were on property, Forest Service has a meeting on December 9th to review the environmental part. Craig and his team and Forest Service people were on site on Monday. I'm told by all parties that it went well. So it looks like maybe next week we'll get to the last phase of permitting, which is archaeological approval at the state level. So it would appear to me that we'll have a rig on the property sometime in January.
You're obviously in a hot sector right now. Silver is booming. Any perspectives on what you think's going on in the silver market and how much steam this is left in it?
Recently, the silver has reached record highs, and I think something that people have been expecting for a while, and it took a little bit longer than we thought.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. That the long-term trends for prices of silver seem favorable. I think we're in a long-term bull market for commodities. There's also copper that has seen some positive activities in terms of strengthening the price and price increase of copper. So all in all, I think we're well located. We're in a favorable commodities market. Our phase 1 and 2 of drilling in January is fully funded. So I would encourage your viewers to keep Prismo on their radar screen.
All right. Well, yeah, just you're in a great sector with all the right commodities, and you've got some polymetallic stuff. It looks like on the property. You're in a great state, and you've got awesome neighbors there, just 3 kilometers away. That huge unmined copper thing. So the stars seem well aligned for this project here. All right.
I would agree.
All right. Any final words before we wrap this up?
Well, thanks for all you're doing for us and helping us tell the story. I think it's important to communicate with shareholders, and you're certainly giving us a chance to do that. And we look forward to continuing to work with you in 2026, Martin.
All right. Excellent. Craig, Alain, thank you very much. Appreciate the update and talk to you again soon.